Welcome back to the Athletic Baseball Show for Thursday, June 22nd. This is On Deck. I'm Steven Nesbitt. I'm here with Levi Weaver, who was absolutely hopping mad after a crucial call at the plate in the Rangers game. I said, I got to get a Rangers homer on the podcast. And I wrangled one. How you doing, Levi?
I'm good. Wait a minute. Hold on. I gotta fill the role a little better. 1 second.
Oh, I'll fill the air here. Yeah. Well, hey, everybody. Thanks for coming on. This is going to get really in the technicalities of the MLB rulebook. So buckle in for the next 15 minutes.
I'm ready to get real mad. I'm going to yell a lot of things. I'm going to say some bad words on YouTube because this is absurd. It's ridiculous. I'm just kidding. That's
Jonah Heim. That's a man ready for his first Sandlot game right there, as we just discussed off the air. So yeah, the background of this, before we get into the show, I should tee you up. What are we doing today's show, Levi?
On today's show, we are going to talk about the crucial play at the plate last night in the White Sox Rangers game that allowed the winning run to score in the 8th inning on a perplexing overturned call. We're also, of course, going to preview our series of the week, or in this case, weekend. We're going to make our arms race pick, and Stephen is going to just walk us through real quick the legal fine print of this podcast, the side effects of which include nausea, vomiting, and a 9-foot tail.
Speaking of side effects, I enjoyed on the broadcast to segue us into this moment in the bottom of the 8th. They make the call overturning the call, the out call at the plate, which looks like certainly the correct call. And the broadcast says, "Here comes Bruce Bochy, and he's hot." And Bruce is going at puttering at 1 mile per hour. Side effect of the years and years of baseball. So let's walk right into this. Let's wade into this moment. The go ahead run is barreling toward the plate. Great throw from the outfield. Jonah Heim picks it. He is kind of standing on top of home plate, kind of almost the back side of it. And they call him out, which he was. And then they go to the review, and New York says, no, actually he was out, but he was Jonah Heim was blocking the plate, not giving a clear lane, I suppose. I don't get it. I understand there need to be some rules, but I also think you see this a lot in football. You're like, well, let's take the moment into consideration. In this moment, was he set up blocking the lane? Nope, he wasn't set up blocking. Did the ball take him across the baseline a little bit? But was the bottom line is, was there a clear spot for his foot to go? 100% there was, and so baffling.
Yeah, so MLB gave a statement. They said the catcher's initial positioning was illegal, and his subsequent actions while not in possession of the ball hindered and impeded the runner's path to home plate, which is absolutely I don't know if maybe they were asked a question about Rangers-White Sox and decided to answer about a completely different game, because it was like I'm watching this in slow motion. And here, let me just preface this. Yes, I covered the Rangers for a lot of years, and this is going to make me sound like I'm mad because the Rangers lost. I'm not. I don't care. I'm upset because the NFL lost legitimacy, in my eyes, with a lot of fans when they just decided we don't know what a catch is. We can't decide what a football move is. Fans everywhere that's always been a catch, and now it's not. Or that's not a catch. No, it's going to be ruled a catch. This rule was not designed to confuse fans or to do what it did last night, which is overturn a perfectly fine baseball. And it was actually a really amazing baseball play by Jonah Heim. So when he set up, and I'm glad we got video because I can do this. He's set up over, well, maybe we can't because we're mirrored. He's got his left foot kind of on the plate, but to the back of the plate. There is absolutely a clear path for Elvis Andrus to slide, right? Coming in, he's rounding third base. He's going to slide right into that area. He's to the back of the plate. He's standing there. The throw, so there's a path. The throw comes in slightly to his left, and so he steps over and behind the plate. I watch this throughout the entirety of his move, there is a clear path now to the center of the plate. He puts his right foot again on the back of the plate. Now he's in foul territory. He catches the ball, then moves in for the tag. At no point in time was there not a clear path. I do not, if it would be one thing if the umpire had called, hey, that's a block, and MLB in New York was like, I don't know, man. It's a confusing rule. We're not going to overturn it because that's the go-ahead run in the 8th inning. That's a big moment. We're going to trust our umpires on this. No, They overturned it despite an absolute absence of anything that looked to me like a blockage of the plate. Heim never blocked the plate. As Andrew slid, he was tagged. There was a path for him as he was sliding. There was always a clear path. I do not understand this rule. I do not understand why it was overturned. And this, to me, is the one rule in baseball above all else that is it's integral to the competitive integrity of the game to find a way to call this consistently. You've got the letter of the law there. It's written out in a way that should be consistent. When it's overturned like this, which is not consistent with those rules, I have no explanation for it. And it's like I said, I don't care that the Rangers lost. Whatever. This is a problem. Can you imagine if this had happened in a playoff game or a World Series game?
That's a bigger point. Is this is a June 21st, 20th game. That doesn't ultimately matter that much, probably. Even if the Rangers lose by a half game or a game in the standings, the division, then we'll probably forget that this is the game that turned things, or could have been.
Rangers fan won't,
could have been
but
salvaged.
the rest of us will.
Yeah, like you. But if this happens in the ALCS, right, it's a whole different conversation. So this is an opportunity to revisit this, right, for the league to say, okay, we feel we followed the letter of the law with our replay, but boy, the reaction is pretty hot. Let's take a closer look at this. All right, maybe his setup was just fine. I mean, you're basically asking catchers to set up right in front of home plate, right? Don't straddle the line. Don't stand on the plate. Stand right in front of it. And to my eyes, he was there. He was maybe off to the side of it a little bit, but not on the bad side of it, on the okay side of it. And then the throw took him even farther. But if their concern is with the initial setup, that's a wild place, I think, to fall because I had no problem with where he was.
Also, the position of the initial setup, you should take a look at where the runner is, because Codify Baseball has a great video on Twitter of the outfield view of it. And you can see where Andrews rounds third. You can see where the ball is. When Heim is set up and the ball is thrown, by the time he starts to move over to the other side of the plate, Andrews is like 70 feet away from home plate. You're not blocking him from the plate at that point. Time and space are. Like, that has to matter. Now, if he's set up there and it's a tight throw from the infielder and it's a bang bang play and he's blocking it, man, that's a hard one to get right too. But in this case, if MLB's statement is going to say in the initial positioning was illegal, Andrews was 90 feet away when he initially positioned himself. That's not a play at the plate. That's preparing for a play at the plate in about 4 seconds. By the time the ball is in the air and he's beginning to move, Andrews is still 2/3 of the way up the baseline. It's baffling. They need to get this right. And I haven't been this fired up about something in baseball in a long time. We picked a good week to put it on YouTube, so me and my ridiculous hat from Mount Rushmore could talk about how stupid this is.
So if we zoom out a little bit after this one, at time of recording, which is before Wednesday's games, the Rangers are still 5 games clear of the Angels, 5.5 ahead of the Astros, but their pace is slowed a little bit now. However, if the playoffs start today, we're looking at Rays as with the 1 seed with a first round bye, the Rangers as the number 2 seed. They are still in really excellent position. And they head next to the Bronx to face the Yankees, who also have been scuffling, but much more noticeably, and getting many more headlines because the way it's happening is without Aaron Judge, who injured his big toe, as you may recall, with Levi's last great breakdown of a moment, crashing through the fence / wall there in Los Angeles. The Yankees also are without Nestor Cortez. Frankie Montas, of course, has been on the IL, as well as Carlos Rodon, who is finally coming around to doing some throwing. So the Yankees are not the high-powered Yankees we're used to. The pitching matchup in that one, on the other side of things, is Dane Dunning, John Gray, and Andrew Heaney. I think the Rangers are still in a really good position, but it's one of those series where it would really look good to take 2 or 3. The way they've been ticking, Corey Seager's been great. Marcus Semien having a really good year. Josh Young, Adolis Garcia with another homer just last night. And Leody Taveras is a name that I feel like a lot of people still don't know, but he is humming along right there at the bottom of that Rangers lineup. This is still a very, very good team, and a series in the Bronx I think is a good maybe litmus test for where they are. You got to take advantage of the Yankees while they're not their best lineup selves.
Steven, you stumbled right into a classic trap, and Tavares is a name that a lot of people don't know. You're not supposed to do this to your broadcast partner, but it's Tavares, not Tavares. So it's funny. It is funny to me that you framed it as a name that a lot of people don't. But you're right.
It would be a great name for people like me to learn.
I will say, even one of the Rangers color commentators, Dave Valley, whose job it is to cover the Texas Rangers and say their names on TV, still says it Tavares every time. And every time I'm like yelling at my TV, it's Tavares. So that's not your fault. One statistic in this matchup that I think is just probably pretty pivotal. In the month of June, the Yankees have scored, at time of recording, they're going to play another game between now and when anybody hears this. They've scored 52 runs in June. That is good for 29th out of the 30 teams. The 30th team is Kansas City. They've scored 51. So by tomorrow, the Yankees could be in a position where they've scored the fewest runs in baseball in the month of June. The Rangers have scored 99. That's fifth. They have seen a little bit of a fall off the first 2 months of the season. They were unstoppable with runners in scoring position. They were hitting a ton of 3-run home runs, hitting 700 with runners on base. That's fallen off the last couple of weeks, as it will do. That's just regression. But one of the big keys that I have seen for Texas is Josh Spores, and he is one of those guys that is just, he's always had good stuff, has always struggled. I talked to him a couple of weeks ago and I'm like, dude, what's going on? Like, what is happening with you? And he said, well, I'm just, I'm executing pitches. I'm like, okay, but that's not new information to you. That's not a new phrase. He said, well, trusting process over results. Like, these are all things I heard you say last year. Let's keep going. How do you do that? And he said, just, taking it one pitch at a time. And I'm like, my man, I could leave it here, but I'm not. I'm going to keep pushing. And finally, he said, well, the way I've been able to do that is that I had a meeting with CY, Chris Young, Rangers general manager, and he suggested that I talk to the mental skills coach. The Rangers have put in a lot of resources to improving their mental health and mental skills program. And he said, man, there was a long time that I kind of dreaded getting that phone call in the bullpen. And now I've been able to set aside some of that fear, some of that anxiety, and really get out there and enjoy playing baseball again. He hasn't allowed a run since May 22nd. I think he's 12 and 2/3 innings since then. Hasn't allowed a run. He's finally looked like the guy that all the scouts were like, he could be this guy someday. The Rangers have needed late inning bullpen help. And man, that's been a great success story for him. It's time to get to our other series of the weeks. We are looking at the Arizona Diamondbacks and the San Francisco Giants. The Giants, at time of recording, have a 9-game winning streak. They are currently 2.5 games back in the NL West. The team that they're trailing, the Arizona Diamondbacks. So this is one of those, we're getting to the point of the season where it's no longer just, hey, this is an interesting matchup. It's starting to get to that late June time of year where these interesting matchups actually have a little bit more behind them. I just watched last night again. So Tuesday night, the Giants come back against the Padres with another late in comeback for that pitiful Padres bullpen. Peterson gets walk-off walk. I mean, the Giants are exciting to watch right now. They've been a lot of fun these last couple weeks. Meanwhile, speaking of exciting, Corbin Carroll is doing everything that people expected and hoped that he would do as a member of the Diamondbacks. Ken Rosenthal wrote about this earlier this week, how he's in the conversation for Rookie of the Year. He's also in the conversation for MVP, and each of which would provide his team not only the value that he provides on the field, but would give them an extra draft pick as part of the new CBA. So all of that is obviously secondary to the fact that this is going to be a must-watch series for fans of either team, and a should probably watch series for people who just like baseball and want to know what they're going to see in October.
My series of the week is going back to the Braves, which I was talking Monday about Braves Phillies, but this is going to be Braves against the Reds, and everything I said about the Braves on Monday is still true. So take all that, except you make it even factor in that the back of their lineup, which has struggled at times this year. Eddie Rosario, Orlando Arcia has been surprisingly good, but Michael Harris has really struggled. They are, along with Ozzy Albies and Ronald Acuna, been like among the best hitters in baseball over the last week. So they're really finding their way. This is a lineup that can do all sorts of, that can beat you in all sorts of different ways. But the Reds, at time of record, both these teams are in first place. Reds on a 10-game winning streak. The Braves on, I think it's a 7-game win streak.
Yeah.
And this is going to be a series at Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. The ball flies. This is going to be a blast to watch. The Reds, what jumped out to me, Levi, was looking at up and down their position players. League average OBP is 320, and every single hitter except Nick Senzel, currently on the Reds roster, is above that. Senzel is just 5 points below. When you think of these young up-and-coming teams, you think of like oftentimes less responsible at the plate. And they're exactly the opposite, and they're fun. Joey Votto's back, and he's talking about how good the energy is around. Like, watch every Joey Votto interview lately. It's been heartwarming. It's been thoughtful. It's been like extremely interesting to hear what this. You could have like an old grump coming back and wanting things to be the way it was, but instead he's embracing how exciting this team is, the energy they have, sort of the. He talked about how they feel about themselves, like how they look at themselves, like the chest kind of puffed out. Like, this is a team that thinks it, self-proclaimed America's team. And it's not only the arrival of Ellie De La Cruz, who's been great. It's Matt McClain, who's batting .313, Spencer Steer, who has 10 homers, Andrew Abbott, who at time of record has a 0 ERA through 3 starts. This is a team that has a hugely bright future, and according to their GM, they're ready to spend and ready to go out and be buyers this summer. So keep an eye on those Reds. They are ridiculously hot.
Yeah, and you didn't even mention Jonathan India,
Yeah.
there you could look. I think Hunter Green is on the IL right now, but he's exciting and will be later this year. So, like, I think at some point we're in 25 years going to look back. I hope that Ellie De La Cruz hits his peak, becomes one of those generational talents but I think if he does that in 20, 25 years, we're going to look back and be like, hey, do you remember like his rookie year? Joey Votto was still in the league and on his team that year. Votto is one of my, I have decided that I have 2 favorite players in baseball right now. Joey Votto is one. Zach Greinke is the other, which I think should tell you that I have a type, and that is a baseball weirdo. But watching Votto, you're right. Those interviews have been great, because here's this guy is 38, 39 years old. And you, exactly like you said, he could be this grumpy dude. He's sat through a lot of really awful Reds seasons. Like, if you're ever going to burn out on baseball, sitting through the last few years of Reds baseball and participating in it would be a good way to do that. And yet his energy is back. I mean, man, how can you imagine being the guy that was like, yeah, I'm the guy that's going to be I'm going to tough it out through all these horrible years. I'm going to be loyal to the city. I'm going to be loyal to the team. This is such a good payback for him, that he gets to have these young, fun players who are good. I know we're Team Marlins on this podcast, but man, I would love to see a Marlins Reds and LCS. That would be so much fun.
Yeah, it's the Votto example is almost like the complete opposite of what's happening in Detroit. Not to always bring things back to my Tigers, but Miguel Cabrera has been like his contract is just a complete weight around the neck of this team, and they're in a rebuild, and his career is not going to survive to see the end of the rebuild. And so for Votto, who has a big contract as well, has been paid well, they kept him around his whole career. He is back and still producing so far in a way that like he said, he's got to provide value for this team, and so far it's worked. I hope everyone on YouTube enjoys our self-made sounds. All right, Levi, you know what time it is. It's time to go into the On Deck Arcade. We've got the Homer chase going on. No spoilers there. We'll hold that till Monday. Arms race, as everyone is well aware, I could not be doing any worse at this game. It's 5 games to nothing for Levi. And so I'm going to go straight into my pick, because I'm going to go first until I win one of these. And I canvassed every starter for the weekend and didn't feel great about anybody, to be honest. And so I'm going to pick someone based on the opponent.
Oh, no. It sounds like you're going to pick the one guy that I have on I don't have a backup.
I don't think I am. I'm going to go with Michael Wacha for the Padres. And I'm going to tell you why it's a bad pick. They're going against the Nationals, and the reason it's a bad pick and why I'm going to lose is that he's not a big strikeout guy. He's not a big strikeout guy, and the Nationals are actually one of the lowest teams in terms of strikeouts in the majors. However, what I'm going on is they also don't hit homers, and so if he can, get a couple strikeouts, maybe go 7 innings, 5 strikeouts, no homers, I think I could put up a pretty good. His floor is pretty high, is what I'm trying to say. His floor,
Okay.
if you start with 40, his floor is like 47, and his high is like 90 this season. So I'm getting, I think, good return, and it's a Padres rotation that I don't know who I trust like more than him, and at this point in the season. So I wonder how this one can go wrong.
Well, here's how it could go wrong is because I kind of panicked and didn't do my normal amount of research on this. And I just like instinctively was like, just who's pitching against the A's? So I've got Yusei Kikuchi. We'll see
You
how
have
that goes.
options there. You have options there. That's an interesting
I
one
do have options.
because I
See, here's
considered
the
them.
thing. So
It's Chris Bassett, Jose Barrios, and Yusei Kikuchi, I think, in that series.
Barrios had a horrible last outing. I wanted to pick Gausman, but he's starting Wednesday when we're recording. I also wanted to go maybe Sonny Gray since they were facing the Tigers. He's also playing on Wednesday. So both of those guys were out. And I was like, Kikuchi.
Yeah, can't wait to see.
I don't feel great about it either, but
well, I'm not too concerned about how you sit here. So hey, we got to get out of here. We're going way over time. Come on. Thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks to producer Brian for keeping us on track here. You can find our work all week long at theathletic.com. You can subscribe to The Athletic for $1 per month with our summer deal. $1 per month for the first year at theathletic.com/baseball show. Sign up for the Wind Up, the Athletics daily baseball newsletter with Levi and Ken Rosenthal for absolutely free. Coming up next in your feed, the 3-0 show. Eno, Britt, Derek are going to be coming to you next. Give us a follow on Twitter. Levi is at 32ephus, and I'm at Stephen J. Nesbitt. The two of us will be back on Monday with more of What's on Deck.
if you experience fatigue, drowsiness, or grow two horns, please consult your physician.